It's time to break out the broke repellent. Hey guys, Randy Gage back with another episode of the Power Prosperity Podcast. And I've flipped on the laptop for you lovely people in YouTube universe. And let's talk about this broke repellent. And what do I mean by that? I mean how to inoculate yourself, how to inject yourself with a special resistance against negative people, negative programming, and poverty, creating an actual support structure so you can either escape from poverty or prevent yourself from going back into it. And I think we can have some real fun with this episode. And so I kind of constructed it in this outline, in this manner, and I'm going to tie it all together as, you know, like when you put on sunscreen or mosquito repellent. So this is broke repellent, or think of it as a vaccine. And no, I don't mean that kind of vaccine, but a positive vaccine that I don't want any debate. I don't want any polarizing controversy. I'm saying a vaccine against lack and limitation. So let's begin with the concept of construct your optimal routines. We've talked about a few of these different routines, different episodes in the podcast in the past. I want to suggest 4 routines that I think are really important to manifesting a life of health, happiness, and prosperity, truly a life of abundance. The first of these is your before bedtime routine. You've heard, if you've been in the channel a while or on the podcast a while, you know I've said the single most important prosperity hack or prosperity tip I could give someone is do not sleep in a room with your devices. Don't be hanging on your devices to the last possible second when you go to sleep. Leave them in another room to charge on silent mode. Okay, that's part of your before bed routine. You need a calm down period. Don't watch some, there's an incredible new show on HBO Max at the time I'm recording this called The Last of Us with Pedro Pascal. Incredible show, but it's so scary. It's like the zombie apocalypse. But the acting all across the show is so incredible. The writing is incredible. So it's one of those guilty pleasures that I like. I hate horror movies. I don't ever watch stuff like that. But this, I love Pedro. He's one of my favorite actors in the world. So it's like a guilty pleasure for me. But the last thing I want to do is watch an episode of that right before I go to bed. My blood pressure is going to be 10 points higher after watching that show. So I'm going to watch a show like that at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock at night. And then I'm going to watch American Idol or The Voice or some happy show, or I'm going to shut it down. I'm going to read a good book. I'm going to meditate. I'm going to do something else. So no devices, no violent movie or TVs, or, just anxiety inducing storylines. And then think of, what would it be? For a lot of you, meditation would be great. Breathing exercises would be great. And something I really recommend is some gentle stretching right before you go to bed. So that's kind of my before bed routine. I use blackout shade now because there's a lot of research saying that the darker the room is, the better your sleep is. Cooler the room is, the better your sleep is. So I'm sleeping at a lower temperature with more blankets on me. But with and less light. And, it's part of my routine to say, I want to get the most restful sleep where I get the biggest amount of REM sleep, the biggest amount of deep sleep, so that I wake up feeling energized and rested. So how does that start? With your routine. Part of that routine for me is I go to bed earlier at night. I like to wake up before the sun is up. I like to, like today, before the sun came up, I had already done my cardio. I had already done my self-development. I had mixed up my protein shake and had that. And then I sat down in my office here to start work just as the sun was coming up. But that's because I didn't stay up till 2 a.m. like I used to in years past. I like to wake up when I finish sleeping. That's part of my routine. I hate having alarm clocks. I want to wake up when my body naturally is done sleeping. So to do that, it means I have to go to bed earlier. Otherwise, I need to set an alarm because I might have some meeting or call that I need to be on in the morning. This way I don't have to worry about it. Go to sleep. I've done my routine. Second routine is your waking routine. Again, a big part of that, if you can structure your life so you wake up when you finish sleeping, extraordinary difference it'll make in your life. I like to start the day with affirmations, and I speak them out loud, right? Somebody watching me, visiting me, they may think I'm crazy. That's okay with me. I will own being crazy. I like to affirm positive statements to begin my day. I always like to exercise right away, and I like to do my personal development. So a lot of that, I'm listening to podcasts while I'm on the elliptical or the treadmill. And like you heard in the last point, then I'm going to mix up a healthy, high protein shake, which is going to fuel me with energy throughout the morning. That's my waking routine. What's yours? Next one, what is your weekend routine? Now, I say weekend because for most people, they're off on the weekend. So they're working Monday to Friday, and then they're off Saturday, Sunday. But you might be in hospitality and your weekend is Monday, or your weekend is Monday and Tuesday. So, I mean, what is the routine for your day or days off? Because it's really important that you don't just, okay, I got my one day, and that's the day I clean the house and I wash the car and I do the laundry and I do the grocery shopping, and you're just exhausted at the end of your day off. And then you're crashing in bed and going back to sleep, to wake up and work all over again the next morning. Have some recreation in there, have some fun in there. Take some of those chores that are necessary and required and distribute them throughout the work week so that you have some time during the weekend routine for a long walk in nature, or walk along the beach, playing in soccer or football or softball or badminton or tennis, going fishing, going sailing, going biking, going hiking, watching nature film that you've been waiting, whatever. Just create a routine for your weekends so that when you go ready for work the next morning, you are energized and throwing the sheets off the bed, eager to go out into your day. And the other thing in terms of routines is I'm going to suggest that you actually create a reading program, that you kind of have times when you read and types of things you read. And I think I do think this reading program, a lot of it can be integrated into your waking routine, your before bed routine, or both, and even your weekend routine, right? But have a reading program and work that in there, because I think it's good to have two types of reading: the fiction, entertainment, escapism reading, and the nonfiction, the self-development, the personal growth type of reading. And I am saying reading. And I know some of you say, well, I don't read, I just listen to audiobooks. No, I'm going to encourage you. I'm going to suggest you need to read physical books. I've got 3 Kindles, and I had a Nook or whatever that thing is called from Barnes and Noble, and I got millions of ebooks. I still believe in books. I want books I can put with me in the hammock, books I can take on the plane, books I can curl up with in a comfy chair or out on the balcony. Books that I can mark in and circle stuff and highlight and have on the bookshelf and reread them when I want. And I will own by the fact I need to do more nonfiction reading, right? I need to read more espionage thrillers or mystery novels or the great American novel. I need to read more fiction. I really, and I'm owning that's one of the things I need to work on, because I'm just natural default is to grab something that I think is for my personal or professional development. And I think I over-index on that. And I think I would do better to have a balance of that. One of the things Naval Ravikant says, that he's talking about kids when he mentions this. He says, let kids read what they love until they learn to love to read, right? So if they love to read comic books, just let them read all the comic books in the world until they develop the love of reading. And then they'll get introduced to other reading that may be more, in the personal, professional growth stuff, or the just education and learning and developing more knowledge to gain wisdom stuff. I'm going to take Naval's advice and give it to the adults out there who say, no, I hate to read. I never read. I've never read a book. Okay, find things you love to read. If it's Stephen Pressfield war novels or Robert Ludlum spy novels, but find things you love to read until you develop that love of reading, and then you'll be able to graduate to some of this other stuff. So those are the routines I think that you should look at: the reading program, the weekend, the waking, and the before bed routines. Next thing I'd like to talk about is your prosperity toolbox. And I got 3 things that I'm going to throw in here, and there's plenty more you might add. If you have some great ideas, I'd love to see them down in the comments on YouTube, or now if you're listening on Spotify now takes comments. So first of these would be, have a couple of go-to podcasts. And I hope this Power Prosperity podcast will be one of yours. But have a couple, so that anytime you got a shot to, really soak up some positive energy, some self-development vibe, you've got some loaded in your podcast player that you're subscribed to. I hope you're subscribed to this one. If you're not, take a moment and fix that right now. Same for you guys on the YouTube channel. Subscribe to Prosperity TV, please. So have a couple of those. And then the next part of the toolkit is shows that inspire you. I'll give you a couple examples. For me, I love Shark Tank because it's entrepreneurs building their dreams. I just resonate with that show. Marcus Lemonis has a show called The Prophet. I love that show. Then there's a show from Korea. They just made 1 season, but there'll be more. And I know they'll make a gringo version of this called Physical 100, right? But they got this 100 personal trainers and Olympic athletes and professional sports people and amateur sports people and CrossFit people and bodybuilders and mountain climbers and mountain rescue people. And they gave them all these physical challenges. And it was must-see TV for me. Those shows inspire me. So I'm suggesting them. They may be great shows for you. Maybe for you, it's not those shows, but it's adventure shows. Maybe it's Nat Geo series or the whatever what's the British equivalent of that with that famous British announcer who does all of those, the survival shows, those, kind of boot camp shows. What are the TV shows that inspire you? Netflix, Hulu, cable, wherever, find some shows that are that and have them in your toolbox. And the third thing I'd put in there is an accountability partner. I love having an accountability partner that you just check in with once a week, and you make commitments to them of things you're going to do, and they make commitments to you of things they're going to do. And then maybe you chat by Zoom once a week for 20 minutes. Hey, checking in, you promised me you were going to do these 3 things to advance your career. How'd you do on it? And you're holding them accountable, and they're holding you accountable. So think about that for your toolbox. The next thing I would like to suggest you look at is what kind of productivity do you have in your life? Are there any productivity hacks that you should be implementing into your daily routine? This podcast that I'm sharing with you right now, I outlined it at the car wash. Took my car in to get it, cleaned. I got myself a bottle of water, a little snack. I sat down with my notepad, and I used the 25 minutes or so that I was waiting for my car to get done, and I accomplished one of my to-do lists, which was outline this show that I could share with you. When I'm in the Uber going to the airport, you know what I'm doing? I've got my Duolingo language lessons in there, the app, and I have my earpiece in, and I'm doing my language lessons on the 20 minutes it takes to get to the airport. So I have 2 lessons done just in the time I would be just wasting time commuting. I'm listening, I told you already, I'm listening to podcasts on the treadmill or the elliptical, or if I'm jogging or whatever I'm doing. I'm kind of hacking my productivity. If you want to know more on this, by the way, for you podcast peeps, episode number 515, episode 515 is called Get More Done. So that's kind of, I'm talking about some of my other prosperity or productivity hacks that you might want to think about. And then another one for me is weekly food prep. I take the weekends off, and really I work Saturday mornings usually. That's a good time for me to do some live streams and to do writing. And then midday, I draw the line. That's it. I'm done working, and I go into my weekend routine, right? And part of my routine that involves playing softball on Sundays and, social events and things like that. And one of my weekend routines is on the way from home from my softball games, I stop at Whole Foods Market and I buy all my delicious, nutritious, organic vegetables and produce and protein. And I create a big container of salad, which is going to allow, I chop up fresh celery and fresh carrots and fresh peppers. And I have this all in a Rubbermaid, swoosh out the airtight container. So it's going to last me all week. So every day I make sure I'm eating at least one huge fresh vegetable salad with my lunch or dinner to make sure I'm getting enough vitamins and minerals and nutrients and fiber into my diet and have a healthy digestive tract. And I plan kind of the meals for the week, and I buy some lean chicken breasts or some lean beef. If you're vegetarian, you get your kind of protein, right? But I have stuff and then some fresh onions so I can slice it up, and I can just grill a couple of chicken breasts with onion and some brown rice, and I've got this incredible, healthy, nutritious, energy-producing dinner when I need it. Okay, final thing I want to talk about is and we've only talked about this before, maybe 8,229 times. Do a people inventory. Who are the people who empower you to become a higher version of yourself? And who are the people that kind of trigger you to become a lower base version of yourself? Who are the people who support you towards success? Who are the people who try to tear you down, whether they do it consciously or unconsciously? You need to kind of take an inventory of those people, and then you got to work on the ratio of access. And you got to say, okay, who are the people that empower me in a positive way, and how can I spend more time with them? And who are the people who maybe don't challenge me into something more positive, but kind of tear me down? How can I ration the amount of time that I spend with them? So those things all taken together, when you integrate them into your life, I really do believe you create this poverty, lack, being broke repellent that protects you against those outcomes. You literally immunize yourself from certain types of people and programming, and you build up your prosperity muscles. So are you up for the challenge? If you are, I want to hear from you. Let me know. Get down in the comments on Spotify or YouTube, or track me down on Twitter. Let me know what you think. As always, I wish you the most prosperous day. Go out and be amazing. Peace.